65 and 80 psi. So, currently I'm still in Maryland, and today we're gonna go on a little camping trip out in the woods and try to recreate some of the most popular foods that you can get at the Renaissance Festival, which is this yearly event in Maryland and also a bunch of other places around the country that's known for crazy food, drinks, and dressing up like idiots with your friends. That was close, yeah. Mac and cheese on a stick isn't bad. It's just Kraft mac and cheese though. I feel like it could be better. Scotch egg, I think it's just sausage, right? Yeah. Ooh.
That's good too?
Yeah, that's pretty good. This is really good.
Put your hips into it! Hell yeah.
That's good. Oh, try back. But before we can head out to our campsite in the woods, we have to stop by the grocery store, which I'm actually currently already at, and get some final ingredients to be able to cook the food that we got at the fair tonight. The light on my dash has been on for the longest time for my tire pressure, so I figured I might as well take care of that. All right, the light is still on, so I guess maybe I'll have to give it a few miles of driving before it'll kick off. My license plate light has been kind of really annoying lately, and sometimes if I get out of the car and my little light is on, and I just go to the back and tap this area, it'll turn off. And there we go, just like that. Oh, maybe not. Well, I guess maybe now I gotta get that light actually replaced, but let's head inside and get the rest of our ingredients that we need to cook all of these different Renaissance food. And I think I'm gonna do 5 different foods, each of which I got while I was at the Renaissance Festival. I got a steak on a steak, fried mac and cheese on a stick, a Scotch egg, a turkey leg, and something that the fair always has that they didn't have this year, but I'm still gonna make, is fried Oreos. So those are the 5 foods that we're gonna try to recreate in the woods in the back of my van tonight. All right, we got everything we need. And I think before we actually hit the road to where we're gonna be camping tonight, I'm gonna get one of these things started because it has to chill before we can finish it. And then we'll cook the rest of the stuff once we get there. So the one thing that we've got to cook is the macaroni and cheese, because I have to let this chill in the fridge before I can turn it into my fried mac and cheese on a stick. So I'm gonna get these cooked, get them in the fridge, and hopefully they're chilled enough by the time we get around to cooking them tonight. And since I don't have a microwave, we can't make these the quick, easy way. So we're gonna have to boil some water and cook them up that way. And I got 2 different flavors because I wanna try out 2 different types of mac and cheese bites, see which one's better. I got the Flamin' Hot Cheetos mac and cheese, and then regular Kraft mac and cheese. So these are 2 different styles of noodles, which doesn't really matter. Just gonna boil them together. And hopefully these noodles will cook the same as regular noodles. But once this is done boiling, I'll break the noodles up into just 2 even groups, and then one will be the Cheetos and one will be the regular. All right, and now that these are done, let's see, this and this, strain them out. Although I do want to keep some of the water, because with these like 1 can macaroni things, you need it to make the sauce. Now we can add these back into their respective tubs, spilling a bunch of it. And now we can finish them off with their respective seasonings. This one's getting the regular cheddar, and this one's getting the Flamin' Hot. And I'm also gonna upgrade both of these a little bit by adding some pimento cheese spread and cheddar cheese to them. Give them a little bit more flavor since they are just Kraft mac and cheese. So I'll add a touch of each of these to both containers, along with a spoonful of pimento. Add some of the water back to each, and mix them all together. And there we go. That's our 2 different mac and cheese mixtures. Now what we gotta do is get these nice and cooled off, which is the reason, obviously, that I made them early. So take out some parchment paper. Essentially, just scoop some of this out into somewhat patty-shaped nuggets on the parchment. Just like that. Now we can stick this in the fridge and hit the road to our campsite. We've made it. Nice little camp stove here. Beautiful. So this is a nice little camp spot. Got a little fire ring there. Brought some firewood. So hopefully I'm gonna try to cook one of these things over the fire. And then down here it looks like there used to be some sort of little stream, but it has clearly dried up. Feels good to be out in nature again, though. I feel like I haven't actually been out and camping at a campsite in a long time since I've been on the East Coast, which is kind of one of the things that isn't so good about van life over on this side of the country. There's just not as much land that is available for camping use, but luckily I was able to find somewhere. So let's get started cooking. Actually, first things first, check on these little macaroni nuggets, freezing up nicely. I put them in the freezer so they'd harden up a little more, make them easier to deal with once we go to cook them. But I think the first thing we're going to start with here, this is probably going to take the longest, is the turkey leg and the scotch eggs. And I'm going to try to cook them at the same time, see if we can. And actually, before we do that, I'm going to get this fire started outside. And I actually did get these cool little fire starters a while ago that I haven't gotten to use yet, so it'd be cool to give these a try. So I think these are essentially like little candles. No kindling, no newspaper, 30-second burn. There's already a bunch of sticks in this fire pit, so we might as well use them. Stack some of these logs on here, and we should have a fire in about 20 minutes. Now that we've got that going, go start prepping the rest of the food. Wow. Well, it's only been like 30 seconds and that fire's already picking up nicely. But first thing we need to do for our eggs is get them boiled. And while we wait for that water to boil, I'm gonna get started on prepping the wrap for the scotch eggs. So when I was at the Renaissance Festival, that was the first scotch egg I had ever had. And it was honestly really good. And if you're unfamiliar with what a scotch egg is, it's essentially an egg wrapped in breakfast sausage and then fried up. So it's like kind of like the perfect all-in-one breakfast on the go, but we're making it tonight for dinner. First things first, I gotta prep everything starting with our chives. And we're just gonna take these and kind of very finely chop them. Just like that. And now we can take our sausage, get that out of there. I don't think we should need all of these links because I think I'm only going to do like 3 eggs. And we're just going to remove these from their casing prisons. Oh, and before I forget, because I forgot last video and I was wiping my hands on my pants again, I got to put on my wipe here apron so I don't make my pants a mess. Might have to close the doors here soon too because we haven't gotten that cold snap to kill all the bugs yet, so there's still mosquitoes out, which isn't ideal, but there we go. Got our sausage, we got our chives. I think that's the only prep that we actually need to do for this. And now we can add our seasonings and combine everything. So we need a little bit of mayonnaise, some kosher salt, cracked black pepper, a little bit of nutmeg, and I'm just eyeballing all of this because it's going in a meatball, it doesn't really matter. And then some parsley. And now our water is boiling, which I think I actually made a mistake on that. And I was supposed to put the eggs in before the water boiled, but I didn't, so we're gonna put them in while it's boiling. We're gonna do 3. Oh, 1 exploded. I guess that's why you put them in before it boils. Oh, 2 exploded. Should be good though. We should be fine. Now we can get some gloves, since we're essentially making meatballs. And now we can just take all of this and combine it together. And the recipe that I was following called for English mustard as kind of the binder instead of the mayonnaise, but I don't really like mustard, so I sub mayonnaise in. I don't know if that was a good idea or not, but it's too late now. There we go. There is our sausage meatball. And now we can take this and separate it into 3 even chunks. And that is what we're going to use to wrap our eggs once they are finished boiling. So now that we've got our sausage balls and our 3 eggs, which we had a little mishap on the first 2 with them exploding, which I don't think they'll be usable. So I put 2 new eggs in there and restarted it. So I got these boiling again. And now we can prep them to be coated and cooked. Grab some parchment paper, some flour, and some panko breadcrumbs. And essentially set up our coating station. So we got some panko breadcrumbs, we got some flour, and I think these eggs are just about done, so we'll get that turned off. And then to these mixes we can add some kosher salt, so the flour and the breadcrumbs. Mix those together. And these should be good to go once these eggs cool off. And you're supposed to cool these off in an ice bath, but I actually don't have one. We just have some lukewarm water. So I'm gonna pull these out and let them cool off in this water, and then we should be able to move on to our next step. While we wait for those eggs to cool off, I'm actually gonna go stoke the fire because it looks like it might be dying a little bit. One thing I don't show on this channel is that it's kind of hard to get out of here when you got the countertop up. Just gotta slide under it. Or I can just crawl out the front door, but either way. Oh yeah, it's almost fully out. There we go. Rearranged it a little bit. Should be good. Oh gosh. Whew. So, our eggs should be cooled off enough. Get those coated, ready to be cooked, and then we can move on to the turkey leg. First things first, let's get these eggs peeled. There we go. So one of the eggs peeled nicely for me, the other 2 not so much. Now we can take our sausage, throw it down on our parchment, and essentially flatten them out into little pancakes like that. Coat the eggs in the flour, and then it goes 1 egg per sausage bowl, essentially. And then you just take the sausage and kind of wrap it tightly and make sure there's no exposed egg anywhere. Just kind of like that. And now we repeat this with the other 2 eggs. There we go. Just like that, we've got 3 meat wrapped egg balls ready to be coated. And essentially we're going to take these and go flour, get it nice and coated. And I got to beat these eggs. And then it goes in the egg, nice and coated in that. And then finally, into the breadcrumbs to get nice and evenly coated all over. Make sure to press those in. And that is the final Scotch egg before we're gonna fry it. So, repeat that with all of these and set these aside, and then we'll be good to move on to our turkey leg. There we go. Beautiful little egg balls. So now, For our turkey, I'm gonna keep it pretty simple with this one. We're gonna go for a nice sear over the fire, and then I got my oven turned on. It's preheating to around 425. We're gonna finish them off with a bake. Before we can do that, we gotta get them seasoned up. Those are gigantic. We're gonna start with a nice coating of olive oil on both of them. Get that nice and rubbed in there. All over. And now we can hit them with some seasoning. And for the seasoning, we need paprika, garlic powder, thyme, sage, and then I was supposed to do rosemary, but I don't have any. So the final two things is just gonna be some salt and pepper, and then we can rub all of that in. Birds are going crazy. Beautiful. Now we can take these bad boys outside, get them nice and seared up over the fire, finish them off in the oven, and while those are finishing off, we will finish everything else and hopefully have it all done at once. But I don't know, because it is a lot to cook at once. Alrighty. Fire is roaring again. Added 2 new logs, and it's nice this fire pit has a built-in little oven rack. Throw a pan on, get some oil in there, let that heat up. I'm gonna have to put this fire down a little bit. It's getting a little too big. There we go, that should be good. Grab our big old turkey legs. Let them get a nice sear over here before we finish them off in the oven. Throw them in there. This pan isn't very even though, so the oil's all kind of condensing on one side, but there we go. Turkey legs on, cooking up nicely. A couple people have driven by. I wonder what they think. I probably look like a crazy person out here in a full apron. Cooking what looks like body parts in the middle of the woods. Nice. I need like a good fire poking stick. This one looks good. Nice. I want to make sure that pan's nice and hot. So get a nice sear on them. And I guess I'm getting good use out of these white pier spots because they are very dirty. Oh, that is so beautiful. Alrighty. I think these are ready for a flip. Ooh! Gorgeous. I should have brought a grill out here so I could just cook them over the fire for the full time, but I don't really trust these. This is like rusty and all messed up. But if I had my own to put on top, I would have cooked on them. But let this cook for another like 2 minutes, then we'll bring them inside, throw them in the oven, and finish up the macaroni and the scotch eggs. Woo-wee! Those look good. I'll let them cook for right around 40 minutes. Actually, you know what? I think I might use the other pot. This one is just a little bit too big for the oil. I'm getting the oil heated up now for frying everything. And the last thing we have to do to prep is get those mac and cheese balls ready, which I did take the time like 10 minutes ago to kind of reform them a little bit into more balls. So I like kind of compressed them up, but they're decently frozen. They're definitely not as frozen as they probably should be, but hopefully it's good enough. And essentially we're doing the same thing that we did with our scotch eggs, except this egg mixture has a little bit of milk in it, and then this bread seasoning has some additional spices in it like garlic powder, paprika, salt, pepper, and a little bit of cayenne. Now we'll do the same thing we did with the scotch eggs. There we go, mac and cheese balls done. We got 4 regular, 4 Flamin' Hot Cheetos, and there is one thing that I forgot that I was cooking tonight that I got started here off camera because it's pretty simple, and that is just a steak on a stick, which is essentially just a piece of steak cooked up and then on a stick. So, got those cooking in the background. Oil should be up to temp for frying, and I think the first thing we're gonna do is cook the scotch egg. I'm gonna go ahead and lay these in there one by one. And I definitely don't have enough oil for these to be dunked under them. I'll probably have to give them a flip about halfway through. There we go. Scotch eggs are cooking. And I'm going to use this exact oil to fry pretty much everything tonight because this is all the oil I have. So we're doing Scotch eggs and mac and cheese bites in here. It is getting kind of dark out though. Starting to get the spooky hours out here in the forest, and our fire is slowly dwindling down. Very eerie vibes out here. Keep these constantly rotating around so they get cooked nice and evenly. So while we were waiting for our Scotch eggs to finish frying, which it looks like they're just about done, our steak's finished, so I pulled those off. Now it's time to take these out of here. Ooh, that is beautiful. And we can set those on a plate to go ahead and cool down. Wow, these look so good. And now we just repeat this process with all of our mac and cheese bites, and our turkey legs should be done just about the same time that we finish all of this. So we're almost timing this perfectly. So I think that's it. That is everything. We've got our Scotch eggs, we've got our steak that is going to be put on a stick along with the macaroni. And I think we can turn the oven off here and pull out our turkey legs. And they really don't look the same and probably won't taste as good as the ones at the actual Renaissance Fair do. They do look pretty good though. But the ones at the Renaissance Fair are smoked and they are so good. Everything's done. Wait for these to cool off a little bit. And I was gonna eat outside, but I think it's a little too dark, so I think I might eat inside and then go out and enjoy the fire for a little bit after. Hot. Whew. That was a lot of things to cook. Turkey's squeaking at me. So, oh gosh, it's been about 10 minutes. Let everything cool off. This is like a Renaissance Vanlife mukbang almost. I've cooked so much food. We are finally finished and ready to eat. First, in true Renaissance Fair fashion, we've got to put most of it on a stick. So, when I went to the fair, they kind of just like weaved the stick through the steak. So that's what I'm gonna do. There we go. That is our steak on a steak. So we've got our steak on a steak. Got one of our turkey legs, one of our Scotch eggs, and then I grabbed 2 of the regular mac and cheese ball bites and 1 of the Flamin' Hot Cheetos mac and cheese bites, or balls, fried mac and cheese balls. We're gonna go get those nice and skewered. There we go. They don't really stay too well on the skewer unless you hold them up, but nonetheless. This is our Renaissance Fair. Move this out of the way for now. Feast. Oh, it is quite hot in here. I had to close the door because bugs were starting to get in since it was nighttime, but I think I'm gonna start off with this Scotch egg here. So cut it in half, give you guys a little cross-section view. Wow. Look at that. Beautiful looking Scotch egg. Very excited. Look like little eyeballs. As always, let's dig in, give each food a rating. I'm going to start in order from what I think the food is going to be worst to best. And I don't think this steak is going to be anything too spectacular because it's just Montreal steak seasoning on a little piece of flank steak. So, cheers. Yeah, honestly, nothing too special with that one. I'm sure you guys can imagine how that one tasted. Up next, we're going to do the turkey leg, which I've never cooked a turkey leg before, so I hope it's all the way cooked through. I guess we'll find out. Oh yeah. Ooh. That's way better than I thought it was going to be. Very juicy. I don't know if you guys can see that. I thought it was going to be dry, but it's almost cooked perfectly. Ooh, and the skin on the outside is so good. Definitely not as good as the one at the Renaissance Festival, but still pretty good. Up next, we got 1 regular and 1 Flamin' Hot Cheeto. This is the regular Flamin' Hot Cheeto mac and cheese bite. Cheers. I think it's better than the ones that I had at the Renaissance Fair because of that extra cheesiness. At the festival itself, they were just Kraft mac and cheese fried up. But I think adding that pimento and cheddar cheese made them a little bit gooier. And a lot tastier, actually. But at the end of the day, it's still just fried macaroni on a stick. And this one looks absolutely crazy. Look how red that is. It looks like brains almost. It looks kind of unsettling. But cheers. Definitely spicy and surprisingly taste exactly like Flaming Hot Cheetos. That's very weird. Definitely going with the regular over the spicy. And at the end, I'm going to give everything a rating, but gotta try our last thing first, which is the thing that I'm most proud of. I think it looks the prettiest out of everything. This Scotch egg. And this is something I think I'm going to start making more because it's such an easy on-the-go meal for any time. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Just make a bunch of these, put them in the fridge, warm them up when you're ready. There you go. Oh. So good. It's like everything you want in a dish. Sweet, savory, crunchy, chewy. Oh, it's so good. Definitely very glad I discovered these. So good. Wow. Alrighty. Moment of truth. This is how I think I'm going to rate these. I'm going to go steak, 3.2. Not very good, not very special. Turkey leg, surprisingly good, but still only around a 6.2 because I don't really like turkey that much. Fried mac and cheese balls. Can't go really high on these because it's just Kraft mac and cheese. If I had maybe done a homemade recipe for mac and cheese, they'd be a little bit higher. But I'm going to go 4.9 on those. And then the Scotch egg. This is the real jewel of the meal. I'd probably give this a solid 7.8. Overall, pretty good. Very happy with how everything came out. I think it was pretty much on par with the food that I got at the fair itself. But yeah, I'm probably just going to sit here, finish this meal. Got a bunch of leftovers for later. A whole turkey leg, 2 other Scotch eggs, and a bunch of fried mac and cheese balls. So I'm going to finish these up and hang out by the fire. And I will catch you guys next time.